Hello, 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 you Bible scholar. That's you. You guys get me so excited. If you are watching this video, you're a Bible scholar. You are. Welcome to my channel. If it's your first time, my name is Taneza. I am the mom of 3 hungry kids. They're always hungry. Always. Living in the heart of New York City on a special adventure. I have never read the Bible. Never. And I'm doing it this year, 2023, the year of being my best me. I would love to have you along with me. All you have to do is hit that subscribe button below. Then you are a member of my tribe. But you're a special member, a group that I call my Bible scholars. All right. If you are currently already a tribe member, please make sure your post notifications are on. I upload Bible reviews every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So 3 days a week. We knock out 4 chapters each review. I am studying and reading from the NIV. Whatever translation you have is completely A-okay. Just stick with it. If you do not have a Bible, no problemo. I got you. Every verse that I read will pop up right there on the screen. Oh, it's almost a rhyme. Hey. All right, guys. We are in the middle of Joshua. And I mentioned last video, I love the action. I'm here for it. Here for it. Today's video will review Joshua 9, 10, 11, 12. Those 4 chapters. So let's go ahead and get into it. Joshua chapter 9. The Gibeonite deception. I have in my notes that all the kings west of the Jordan came together to wage war on Joshua and the Israelites. I wanted to read for you guys chapter 9, verses 3, 4, 5, and 6. Verse 3. When the people of Gibeon heard what Joshua had done to Jericho and Ai, verse 4, they resorted to a ruse. I love that word ruse. Like, that's just like a deception, ruse, or you're playing a joke on somebody. They went as a delegation whose donkeys were... Actually, let me take my glasses off. Whose donkeys were loaded with worn-out sacks and old wineskins, cracked and mended. Verse 5. The men put worn and patched sandals on their feet, wore old clothes. All the bread of their food supply was dry and moldy. Verse 6. Then they went to Joshua in the camp of Gilgal and said to him and the men of Israel, "We have come from a distant country. Make a treaty with us." The Israelites questioned them. "Perhaps you live nearby. How then can we make a treaty with you?" They lied. They said that they're from a distant country and that what the Lord had done was famous. The proof they gave was the bread that they had packed. When they packed it was warm and fresh, now dry and moldy. They had cracked wineskins, and they had worn clothes and sandals. I wanted to read for you guys verse 14 of chapter 9. The men of Israel sampled their provisions, but did not inquire of the Lord. And I have stars by that. How many times in our lives do we face a decision, or we are trying to make a decision or which way to go, that we don't seek the Lord, and how important that is? Joshua made a treaty of peace with them. 3 days after the treaty, the Israelites heard they were neighbors living nearby. The Israelites set out, and after 3 days arrived at their cities. I wanted to read for you verse 18. But the Israelites did not attack them because the leaders of the assembly had sworn an oath to them by the Lord, the God of Israel. The whole assembly grumbled against the leaders. The Israelites leaders said that they had given an oath by the Lord God of Israel and cannot touch them. Instead, they let them live, and they were woodcutters and water carriers for the entire community. Joshua called the Gibeonites and asked them why they lied by saying they lived far away when they actually lived nearby. Verse 23, "You are now under a curse," Joshua said. "You will never cease to serve as woodcutters and water carriers for the house of my God." The Gibeonites told Joshua that they feared for their lives. That's why they lied. Joshua saved them from the Israelites, did not kill them, and I wanted to read the final verse of chapter 9, verse 27. "That day he made the Gibeonites woodcutters and water carriers for the community and for the altar of the Lord at the place the Lord would choose, and that is what they are to this day." Chapter 10. The sun stands still. The 5 kings of the Amorites. The kings of 1, Jerusalem, 2, Hebron, 3, Jarmuth, 4, Lachish, and 5, Eglon. They joined forces and they attacked Gibeon because they had made a treaty of peace with Israel. Gibeon was an important royal city. The Gibeonites sent word to Joshua they needed his help in verses 7 and 8 of chapter 10. So Joshua marched in verse 7 up from Gilgal with his entire army, including all the best fighting men. Verse 8, "The Lord said to Joshua, 'Do not be afraid of them. I have given them into your hand. Not one of them will be able to withstand you.'" How powerful. Do not be afraid. They will not be able to withstand you. The Israelites marched all night. Joshua took them by surprise. Verses 10 and 11. Verse 10, "The Lord threw them into confusion before Israel, who defeated them in a great victory at Gibeon. Israel pursued them along the road going up to Beth Horon and cut them down all the way to Azekah and Makkedah." Verse 11, "As they fled before Israel on the road down from Beth Horon to Azekah, the Lord hurled large hailstones down on them from the sky, and more of them died from the hailstones than were killed by the swords of the Israelites." So again, intervention of God, intervention by God, their Lord, to deliver them into their hands like he promised. That was part 1 of chapter 10. Part 2 of chapter 10, the 5 kings fled. They were hidden in the cave at Makkedah. They were found. Joshua was alerted. Verse 18 in chapter 10, he said, Joshua, "Roll large rocks up to the mouth of the cave. Post some men there to guard it." That's where the kings were hiding. Don't stop. I have my notes. Don't stop. Keep fighting. Verse 20. "So Joshua and the Israelites destroyed them completely, almost to a man, but the few who were left reached their fortified cities." The 5 kings at Makkedah, they were brought to Joshua. Joshua told the army commanders to put their feet on the king's necks. Is that where that phrase, like, "you got your foot on my neck," or I'm not sure, but maybe that phrase comes from the Bible. Verse 25 and 26 of chapter 10. Joshua said to them, "Do not be afraid, do not be discouraged, be strong and courageous. This is what the Lord will do to all the enemies you are going to fight." Verse 26. "Then Joshua struck and killed the kings and hung them on 5 trees. They were left hanging on the trees until evening. At sunset, Joshua gave the order to have the kings taken down from the trees, thrown into the cave where they were hiding. Joshua placed large rocks at the mouth of the cave. Verse 28. That day Joshua took Makkedah. He put the city and its king to the sword and totally destroyed everyone in it. He left no survivors, and he did to the king of Makkedah as he had done to the king of Jericho. Joshua fought the battle of Jericho, Jericho, Jericho. Joshua fought the battle of Jericho, and the walls came tumbling down. A little break for you guys. I cannot sing. I know I cannot sing. I will never forget that song. The men's choir in my church used to sing that. Joshua fought the battle. Okay, let's go on. I'm sorry, guys. Part 3 of chapter 10. After Makkedah, Joshua and the Israelites attacked and defeated Libnah, Lachish, Horon, Eglon, Hebron, and Debir. They left no survivors. I wanted to read for you verses 40 and 42. Joshua subdued the whole region, including the hill country, the Negev, the western foothills, and the mountain slopes, together with all their kings. He left no survivors. He totally destroyed all who breathed, just as the Lord, the God of Israel, had commanded. Verse 42, all these kings and their lands Joshua conquered in one campaign. That's like a rally or a battle, because the Lord, the God of Israel, fought for Israel. So powerful. I want us Bible scholars to expect the same out of the Lord today. I really do. He fights for us. He fights with us. Whew, it's powerful. Chapter 11. The northern king defeated. That's the subject of chapter 11. All the kings joined forces in the north, the south, and the western foothills, I have in my notes, against Israel. I wanted to read for you verse 6. The Lord said to Joshua, do not be afraid of them, because by this time tomorrow I will hand all of them over to Israel, slain. You are to hamstring their horses and burn their chariots. I looked up the definition of hamstring, and I'm going to put it right here for you on the screen. So, Joshua's faith was amazing, by the way. Let's give him some kudos for his faith. Joshua and his army attacked them, defeated them, and pursued them until no survivors were left. I wanted to read chapter 11, verse 9. Joshua did to them as the Lord had directed. He hamstrung their horses and burned their chariots. Joshua totally destroyed all these royal cities and their kings. The Israelites took all of the plunder and the livestock, completely destroyed all the people. And I wanted to read verses 18, 19, and 20. Joshua waged war against all these kings for a long time. Verse 19, except for the Hivites living in Gibeon, not one city made a treaty of peace with the Israelites, who took them all in battle. Verse 20, it was the Lord himself who hardened their hearts to wage war against Israel, so that he might destroy them totally, exterminating them without mercy, as the Lord had commanded Moses. Again, God is so faithful. So faithful. Chapter 12, the list of defeated kings. Verse 1, these are the kings of the land whom the Israelites had defeated, whose territory they took over east of the Jordan, from the Arnon Gorge to Mount Hermon, including all the eastern side of the Arabah. Sihon, king of the Amorites. He ruled from Aroer on the rim of the Arnon Gorge, from the middle of the gorge. The territory of Og, king of Bashan. In verse 7 and 8, it lists the kings of the land that Joshua and the Israelites conquered on the west side of the Jordan, from Baal-Gad in the valley of Lebanon to Mount Halak. The hill country, verse 8, the western foothills, the Arba, the mountain slopes, the desert. Starting in verse 9, the king of Jericho, the king of Ai, the king of Jerusalem, the king of Hebron, the king of Jarmuth, of Lachish, of Elgon, the king of Jezar, Debir, Gadir, Hormah, Arad, Libnah, Adullam, Makkedah, of Bethel, of Tappuah, of Hepher, of Aphek, of Lasharon, of Madon, of Hazor, Shem. Hi, Bible scholars. This is Editing Taneza. Just wanted to jump on here and let you guys know, for some reason my camera stopped recording there, but I did get through all my notes on chapters 9, 10, 11, and 12. Please feel free to comment, share, make sure you're subscribed, and I'll see you in our next review. Bye for now.